I never thought the person I grew up sharing secrets and dreams with would publicly shame me in front of the world. But when my sister posted that on Facebook, my world crumbled instantly. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal itself, or the fact that she wanted everyone to see it. It was a regular Wednesday morning. I was scrolling through my phone during my lunch break, sipping lukewarm coffee at my desk, when I saw the notification. Jessica tagged you in a post. Jessica, my sister, my only sibling, the girl I'd once built pillow forts with, the one who cried with me when we lost our dog in 6th grade, the same sister who used to beg me to braid her hair. Before school. I tapped the notification, half expecting something funny or a throwback photo from our childhood. Instead, I saw 8 bold words that made my stomach lurch. Finally blocking my toxic sister. Family is better without her. There were laughing emojis, heart reacts, people commenting with things like, good for you, Jess, or toxic family needs to be cut off, and dozens of likes from mutual friends. Friends I had known since we were kids. Friends who didn't even ask what happened. I blinked at the screen, rereading it over and over. Each time, it hit harder, like a slap with every syllable. Toxic sister. Family is better without her. What had I done that was so unforgivable that she felt the need to announce our estrangement, like it was a public victory? Let me back up. My name's Rachel. I'm 29. Jessica is 26. We grew up in a pretty average middle class family. Dad worked in insurance. Mom stayed home until Jess was in high school. We weren't rich, but we had enough. What we didn't have was emotional warmth. Our parents weren't the affectionate type. They didn't say I love you unless we were seriously sick or it was a holiday. Praise was rare. They were strict, traditional, and favored perfection. Jessica was perfect. She had the perfect grades, perfect hair, perfect manners. I was the messy one, the one who forgot chores, who got B's, who talked back, the one who questioned things. I didn't notice the favoritism at first. I thought it was normal when Jessica got a new phone while I was still using a cracked hand-me-down, or when she got to go to sleepovers and I was told, we don't trust those families with you. Not her, just me. But I loved her anyway. She was my baby sister. I used to defend her when she cried because of something Mom said. I helped her with homework. I sat through hours of her practicing dance routines just to clap like a proud stage mom when she nailed the moves. Things changed. After I turned 18, I left for college. Far away. I wanted distance, freedom, but it wasn't easy. I worked 2 jobs to stay afloat. My parents weren't interested in helping. You chose this life, my dad would say. Meanwhile, they bought Jessica a car the moment she turned 17. I came home one weekend to see it sitting in the driveway like a prize. I tried not to be bitter. I reminded myself, she's still a kid. It's not her fault, but it was hard. Then came the whispers. Mom telling me, Jessica's worried about how you've changed. Or Dad saying, she's trying to be a good example unlike you. I'd ask Jessica about it, and she'd deny it every time. I don't know why they say that. She'd insist. I never said anything like that. And I believed her. Because I wanted to. Because she was my sister. We drifted after that. The texts became less frequent. Calls turned into birthday messages and the occasional Merry Christmas. Then I came home the summer after graduation. That's when everything really started unraveling. Jessica was a senior in high school, still their golden girl. By then, I had a decent job in marketing and was renting a small place in the city. I came home with a box of cupcakes and a soft hope that maybe, just maybe, we could all reconnect. But dinner that night was a disaster. Mom kept picking at me. Is that what you're wearing now? And you've put on some weight, haven't you? While Dad grilled me about my finances, like I was asking him for money. Jessica stayed quiet at first, then eventually joined in, laughing at something Mom said about how I was always the dramatic one. It hurt more than I can describe. I remember sitting there, chewing my food, feeling like an outsider in my own family. That night, I tried to talk to Jessica alone. We sat on the back porch, like we used to. I brought up the tension, how I felt like I was constantly being judged. Picked apart. Her response, she shrugged. You do kind of make everything about you. I stared at her. Are you serious? I mean, she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. You always bring drama when you come home. Mom and Dad aren't going to change. Why keep pushing buttons? There it was. The silent agreement. The unspoken alliance she had formed with them. Maybe it had always been there. I didn't sleep much that night. Fast forward to last year. Our cousin, Sarah, was getting married. Jessica was the maid of honor. I was invited barely. My name wasn't even on the family group. chat anymore. So I found out through Sarah herself. At the wedding, Jessica barely looked at me. She posed for dozens of family photos. I stood off to the side like a forgotten relative. When I asked if she wanted to grab lunch sometime soon, she smiled and said, "We'll see." The final blow came 2 months later. Our grandma passed away. Jessica didn't even tell me. I found out from Facebook. The same platform she would later use to cut me off publicly. When I messaged her after the funeral one I wasn't invited to, she replied with, "You've made your choices, Rachel. This is what peace looks like." I sat in my apartment, staring at that message, wondering how peace could feel like being stabbed in the heart. And then, weeks later, she posted that now infamous status, the one that ripped whatever thread was left between us. Finally blocking my toxic sister. Family is better without her. I didn't respond. Not publicly. I thought about it. I wrote out angry replies, long paragraphs explaining my side of the story. I wanted to scream through the screen. You were the golden child. I defended you. I loved you. And you threw me away like trash. But I didn't post any of it. Instead, I blocked her back. Quietly. And then I sat in silence. I didn't cry immediately. That came 3 days later, while I was washing dishes and a song we both used to love came on. That's when the dam broke. That's when the betrayal hit like a tidal wave. Because it's one thing to grow apart. That happens. Life pulls people in different directions. But it's another thing entirely to erase someone, to rewrite history and paint them as the villain, just so you can be the hero of your own curated life. Since then, I've been trying to rebuild myself, to let go of the guilt, the self-blame, the years of feeling like I was always the problem, when really I was just the scapegoat in a story, where she always got to be the shining daughter. People say blood is thicker than water, that family is forever, but sometimes, family is the deepest wound, and the person who once called you sissy with love in her voice can become the one who tries hardest to destroy your name. After Jessica's Facebook post, I felt like my existence had been reduced to a cautionary tale. I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. Every word, every emoji, every like from someone I thought respected me. The silence from others stung just as badly. Friends and family who knew both of us and said nothing. No text asking if I was okay. No attempt to hear my side. It felt like they had already picked their side and I had lost. For a few weeks, I spiraled. I stayed off social media. I barely returned messages. I went to work, smiled through meetings, and came home to cry on the kitchen floor. I started second-guessing every decision I had ever made. Was I actually the toxic one? Had I somehow become the problem and not realized it? That word toxic, it lingered like smoke in a house fire. It burned every part of my identity. One night, I broke. I called my mom. She picked up after the rings, surprised. "Rachel." "Yeah? Hey." She hesitated. "Everything okay?" I laughed bitterly. "Define okay. What's going on?" she asked, her voice cautious, like she already knew something was off. "Jessica's post," I said quietly. "Did you see it?" A pause, then a slow exhale. "I did. And nothing else. No defense. No sympathy. Not even if that was harsh of her. Just a flat confirmation. So you're not going to ask if I'm okay? Or what that was about?" "She's just trying to protect her peace," Mom said softly, like she was choosing her words carefully. I could feel my hands shaking. "So I'm what? A threat to her peace? You have always had different energy." I blinked. "Different energy? I'm just saying," she continued, "maybe you both need space. You've always been more intense. More emotional. There. It was again. More. Too much. Always the one who felt things too deeply. Who cried when others shrugged. I ended the call quickly, before I said something I'd regret. But that night, I decided something had to change. I couldn't let Jessica control my narrative anymore. The next day, I messaged my Aunt Mom's younger sister, Lisa. She was the only one in the family who ever saw through the polite facades. We hadn't spoken in a while, but I figured if anyone would be honest, it was her. I wrote, "Hey, Aunt Lisa. Random question. Have you talked to Jessica lately? Just wondering if she ever told you why she posted what she did about me." She responded almost immediately. "I was hoping you'd reach out. Yes, I saw the post. And yes, she told me her version of things. But to be honest, it didn't sit right with me. My heart raced." "What did she say?" "She claims you've always been jealous. That you started drama during Sarah's wedding. That you were manipulative growing up. She said you cut the family off first." I felt sick. None of that is true. I figured. You always seemed like the one trying to hold things together. I remember you keeping her calm during Christmas when your mom was on one of her rants. But Jessica has been rewriting things for a while now, playing the victim card when it suits her. Why would she do that? Her next message was blunt. Because she thrives on approval. And painting you as toxic gives her an excuse for the distance she created. It makes her look brave, empowered. I sat there, stunned. All this time I'd been carrying guilt, blaming myself, wondering where I went wrong when the truth was, Jessica had been manipulating the narrative behind my back. I decided to confront her. Not on Facebook. Not with a public post or a dramatic reply. No, I needed something more direct, more final. I sent her a text. You posted something that hurt me deeply. Not just the words, but the fact that you made it public. I want to understand why. I deserve at least that. She left me on read for 2 days. On the third day, she replied, "You've always made everything about you, Rachel. I just needed people to know the truth." That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement of pain. Just blame. I stared at the message for a long time, feeling a strange calm wash over me. She had made her choice. She wasn't interested in resolution. She wanted an audience. She wanted applause. The week after that, I started writing everything down. Every memory. Every incident of favoritism, gaslighting, silence. Every moment I tried to reach out. Every time I was shut down. It became like therapy. Reclaiming the story she had tried to bury under her filtered version of events. One entry in particular stuck with me. Age 15. Jessica and I got into a fight, something dumb. Like who got to use the bathroom first. She ended up crying, of course, and I was the one who got grounded. I remember standing in the kitchen, trying to explain my side, when she walked in, looked right at me, and said with a sweet voice, "Rachel just gets angry when she doesn't get her way." I remember Mom nodding. That's exactly it. It became a pattern. Jessica would whisper poison into their ears with a smile, and I'd be left cleaning up the fallout. She didn't need to raise her voice. She weaponized innocence, and they always believed her. After about a month, something unexpected happened. One of Jessica's old college friends, Alyssa, messaged me. We weren't close, but we'd met a few times. She wrote, "I know we don't know each other well, but I saw what Jess posted, and I just wanted to say, you're not alone. She's done this to others." I stared at her message in disbelief. Others? Yeah. She and I had a falling out years ago. She spread rumors, told people I was unstable after I called her out for copying my senior project. She has a pattern. She cuts people out and then spins stories about how toxic they were. It hit me like a truck. Jessica wasn't just rewriting my story. She had done this before. And I wasn't the first. I asked Alyssa if she'd be okay sharing more. She sent me screenshots text between her and Jessica, eerily similar to mine. Cold, manipulative, emotionally detached. Jessica was curating her life like an Instagram feed, clean, pretty, free of anything that didn't serve her image. And I was just one of many who got filtered out. So I did something bold. I wrote a letter. Not to her, not to our parents, but for me. I titled it, "To the Sister Who Blocked Me." And I pour my heart out. You didn't just block me on Facebook. You blocked out our childhood, our bond, every moment that mattered. You blocked out the sister who defended you, who cried with you, who loved you even when you threw her to the wolves. You painted me as toxic so you could play the role of the brave survivor. But here's what you never understood. Survivors don't erase people. They confront, they heal, they grow. And while you may have filtered me out of your life, I'm done trying to filter myself to fit in yours. I hope the applause was worth it, because what you lost was a sister who would have stood by you through anything, even this. I didn't post it. I didn't send it. But writing it gave me power again. The silence from Jessica continues to this day. No calls, no apologies. And you know what? That's okay. Some people walk out of your life like hurricanes, and all you can do is rebuild stronger. She wanted me to feel erased, forgotten. Instead, she lit a fire in me, because now I see it for what it is, not a loss, but a release. A release from walking on eggshells, from begging for affection, from being the scapegoat in a family that never truly saw me. And for the first time in years, I'm free. The thing no one tells you about cutting off a sibling, especially one who has played the golden child their whole life, is that you don't just lose them. You lose the version of your family that you always hoped would exist. In the weeks that followed my letter, the one I never sent to Jessica, I began the slow, painful process of letting go. Not just of her, but of the fantasy I'd clung to for so long, that one day we'd fix things. That one day our family would acknowledge the truth. That I wasn't difficult or toxic or broken. I was just different. I had emotions they didn't want to deal with. And suddenly, it was like once I stopped chasing validation, I saw everything clearly. My relationship with my parents. Conditional. They never reached out after Jessica's post. Not once. No call. No message. Nothing. It was like they had made their choice by staying silent. And honestly, that silence said everything. For years, I had been trying to prove myself to them. To be the good daughter despite always being told in subtle and not so subtle ways that I was a burden. I bent over backward to include them in my life. I bought them thoughtful gifts, called on holidays, forgave comment after comment that stung like poison. But now, I saw it all for what it was. Emotional crumbs. They gave Jessica the whole cake. And the irony? She's the one who cut me off. There's something wildly freeing about being discarded. Once the people you tried so hard to keep don't want you anymore, you get to ask the question, what happens if I stop performing? I stopped calling, stopped explaining myself, stopped trying to be palatable. I started therapy, real therapy. Not the venting sessions I used to pass off as healing, but deep, gut-wrenching sessions that forced me to unpack my childhood brick by brick. My therapist, Maya, was the first person who looked me in the eye and said, "You weren't loved conditionally. You were managed." That's not the same. I cried so hard during that session, I couldn't breathe. Because deep down, I always knew. As I began to rebuild my emotional foundation, I found unexpected allies, old college friends who'd seen glimpses of my family dynamic, but never had the full picture. Started reaching out. One friend, Leah, sent me a voice note after I opened up during a dinner party about the Facebook post. "Rachel, I remember how you used to flinch whenever your phone rang and it was your mom. Like you were bracing for impact." I didn't say anything back then because I didn't know what to call it. But now, I get it. That wasn't normal. And you didn't deserve any of it. That message cracked something open in me. Because when someone sees you, really sees the pain you've worked so hard to hide, it begins to heal the wound. Stitch by stitch, months passed, seasons changed, and something strange began happening. I started laughing again, not fake, tight-lipped chuckles. To keep the peace. Real, belly-deep, soul-freeing laughs. At dumb sitcoms. At myself. At the absurdity of trying so hard for people who would never clap for me. I redecorated my apartment. I threw out the throw pillows Jessica once gave me. I deleted old photos not out of spite, but out of peace. I didn't need daily reminders of a past that never truly saw me. And then, one night, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I wrote a public post. Not a retaliation. Not a clap-back. Just the truth. Sometimes family isn't who shares your blood. It's who sees you, hears you, and still chooses you. To anyone who's ever been cast out, called dramatic, or labeled toxic for simply having boundaries, I see you. You are not too much. You are enough. You deserve love without performance. Healing isn't loud. Sometimes it looks like silence, softness, and space. And that's okay. I didn't tag anyone, didn't name names. But the people who needed to see it, they did. In the comments. The comments. Strangers, old friends. People I hadn't spoken to in years, all chiming in with things like, "This hit me hard. I needed this today. Thank you for putting it into words." It went semi-viral, not in a celebrity kind of way, but in the real kind. The human kind. Where people don't know you but feel you. Where your pain becomes a mirror, and others realize they're not alone either. It was the closure Jessica's post never gave me, because instead of bitterness, I chose truth. Instead of a public shaming, I chose quiet power. Sometime later, I bumped into someone from our old neighborhood, Mrs. Peterson. She used to babysit us. She looked at me with a sad smile and said, "I saw what happened between you and Jessica. I'm sorry." I didn't even ask what she meant. She leaned closer and whispered, "I always wondered why your parents treated you so differently. You were the kindest one." And I broke. Right there, in front of a grocery store freezer aisle. I broke because sometimes it takes someone from the outside, someone without the family loyalty. The bias. The blinders to see the truth that's been staring you in the face all along. In time, I made peace with it. Not forgiveness in the way people romanticize, but peace. Acceptance. Jessica isn't coming back. Not the sister I knew. Not the one I braided hair for. Not the one I shared bunk beds and whispered secrets with. That version is gone. And maybe she never existed beyond my memory. Maybe I saw her through a lens of hope. And now that lens is shattered, but in its place, I see myself more clearly, and I like who I see. 1 year later, to the day of her post, I found it again. Facebook had a memory notification. On this day, 1 year ago, finally blocking my toxic sister. Family is better without her. I stared at it, but this time, I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel shame. I felt nothing. And it was beautiful. Because healing doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just the absence of pain where there used to be a hole. I won't lie and say I'm completely over it. There are still days where I miss her. Still dreams where we're kids again, laughing over cereal and cartoons. Still moments where I wonder what would have happened if we had grown up in a different family. One where emotions were honored. Where love wasn't conditional. Where I wasn't always the villain for daring to feel. But then I remind myself, I didn't lose a sister. I lost someone who chose not to see me. And that's not on me. That's on her. If you're listening to this and you've been cast out by someone you once loved, especially family, I want you to hear me. You are not disposable. You are not too much. You are not toxic for needing boundaries, for asking for respect, for speaking your truth. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away without burning the bridge and then build your own road. Somewhere new. That's what I'm doing, every day. Brick by brick. Step by step. Toward a future where I no longer need to be liked by people who refuse to love me. And Jessica, I hope she's at peace, truly. I hope whatever applause she got from that post was worth the silence that followed. Because I've learned something important this past year. Some people only love you as long as they can control you. And the moment you set yourself free, they label you the problem. Let them. Because real freedom starts the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And now, I'm free.